Morning everybody. Let's do a rapid game. I'm on Lichess again. I think while I'm messing around with my repertoire a little bit, so I'm playing obviously the Smith-Morra with against the Sicilian, and I'm also I'm revisiting what to play against 1d4 as black, so I'm starting to learn the King's Indian defence as well. And Lichess apparently is not giving me a game. So we may switch over to chess.com. What's wrong with Lichess? There we go. Okay. Well, we've got the white pieces. Opponent's rated 1765. That's maybe about 1400. Okay, so I'm now going to play, hopefully, the Goering Gambit. This is the other thing as well, yeah. I forgot about my... oh, right, okay. This is the Russian game, okay. So I could, I think, just knight c3 here. I'm not going to get into any Stafford or any of that nonsense with this. No, mate. So I could play it kind of Vienna style, maybe. I don't see anything wrong with this. Defend the pawn. I had a really good session with Craig last night on Chess Bootcamp Live, where he played against two of our members. Both very instructive games. Okay, we could go Scotch here, 4-knight Scotch. I don't know it. Interesting. So, let us stop and take stock. If I push d5, we have a locked centre. And it comes with tempo. Where's the knight going to go? It could go here, it could go here, it could go here. Knight has lots of options, could go back, of course. So, what we achieve there is locking up the centre of the board. And gaining space, has to be said. If I take... and he takes... I could trade queens. If knight takes, I win the pawn. If I take a knight takes, I take knight, he takes knight, we trade queens. I think taking the pawn probably makes sense for tactical reasons. If I can trade queens and make his king move, it's maybe worth half a pawn. Okay, so here's the thing now, I take it, but now the king has to take or else he loses this pawn outright. My pawn is protected. But he took with the knight to preserve castling rights, and now he's a pawn down. You see how these, these tactics can present themselves very early on in the game. Okay, so a few thoughts. First thing, what's happened with that move? Well, black has developed his bishop. Correct. Black has pinned my knight. Also correct. Black is preparing to castle. Absolutely true. So, with that, from that, what has changed overall on the game, as in what's important? My knight is undefended. Black is also attacking the only defender of this pawn. So that makes me think, do I need to do something about this pawn? And what can I do? I mean, I can play bishop d3, I can play f3. f3 is not such an issue because yes, I open up this diagonal, but the dark squared bishop is on the wrong side of the board. However, if I play f3, takes, I end up with doubled isolated pawns on the c-file. Which is not the end of the world. That looks kind of goofy though, doesn't it? Putting my bishop on there, making it a tall pawn. I could play this, but then takes, and I lose the pawn back. If I bring my bishop out, he can't castle, actually. If I bring my bishop out, he still takes the pawn, because my knight's pinned. So this, he can't take the pawn. So if I do this, he can take the knight, I recapture, then I don't mess up my pawns, then he takes the pawn back. Oh, but then, hang on, my bishop's lined up with g7. I mean, this move, ugly as it is, you know, I'm going to play that just to defend the pawn with a pawn. It's the cheapest way to do it. Okay, he's decided to do this. Okay, so now we know what this means. This means our bishop's probably going to come to here. This is defended. Our king wants to castle that away. I could return the favour and develop my bishop here. This pawn could be a weakness at some point. Here we have rook here and my knight's undefended. My knight might move back here at some point actually. So how about like bishop c4, maybe bishop b3, line it up with a king. Yeah, I think that's okay. Look to short castle, get a rook onto the open file. This bishop, there? This knight might end up having a job to defend f7 as well. So I'm still a pawn up, and I have the bishop pair. That's two things in white's favour. Not in my favour is this pawn structure. So my first thought here is drop back to b3. I can't see anything wrong with that. If he wants to trade off, I repair my pawns. Yeah. Even pre-move that. Opponent's playing quickly. He's thought better of it. Okay, I can castle now. I can also do this and pin the pawn on that rook, which I kind of like. I mean, does my bishop have a future up this way? Well, you know, arguably e3 hits this pawn. Does he want to push the pawn? Is that his idea? Now, if I push c4, that just imprisons my bishop. It's like a spider in the middle of a web. So I'm thinking bishop a3. Pin that pawn. If you want to come in here, be my guest. I'll have your rook. And in fact, I've got knight and bishop looking at that square. So c4 is not a threat. In fact, I'm not really sure on the purpose of c5. Okay, if I was to take here, it's just going to improve his knight. I'm thinking it's probably time to castle. Unless it's time to get a rook straight onto d1. I'm not attacking this pawn. You didn't need to defend it. Yeah, I think castles. The b file is also semi-open for me. Huh. So if you push there, takes, that's not going to happen. So c4. c4 traps my bishop. c4 traps my bishop, so... Oh, but it also drops the rook. But maybe he'll move the rook on the next turn. If I push this, and he pushes, that is ugly. But if I push that, and my bishop ends up on a4, no. That's defended once by the rook. Is there anything in this? Takes. No. What else have we got? So what's the threat? This, I just take. So that's not an immediate threat. c4, I take the rook. He may take my bishop. I don't know. c4 is the worry, isn't it? And I can't move either of these pawns because they've got stuff in front of them. So it might just be time to cut my losses there and trade off. I am still a pawn up. You still can't push this. Or this, really. Push this now and you're just losing the rook. Okay, now this is a potential idea at some point. Obviously the defensive knight is blocking that. c4 for me now. He'll push. Does my bishop need to come around? Here prevents this. My hunch is that positionally the next thing for me is to improve my rooks. And I think rook AB1. There's no way he's going to play this. And this just loses a pawn. So, I mean, his knights are okay there. Alright, rook FD1. It's just get as much line of sight for that rook as I can. Takes, still loses a pawn. He then gets this one back, by the way. So maybe I need to think about these undefended pawns. I've got 3 actually undefended pawns here. My knight's also undefended. Knight d3 looks like a backwards move. Well, it is a backwards move. Stops his knight coming in there. This pawn's still pinned though. If I was to push and push, might be okay. Can't go there right now because of the knight. This is my first instinct. And when I'm playing well, my first instinct tends to be better than when I'm not playing well. It's probably the biggest difference. Knight back here. Now, this pawn's no longer pinned, by the way, that guy there. Knight back here. He pushes me. Swing my knight. My knight can just go back. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a move I'm thinking about. This knight doesn't have many options to go forward. Its job is going to be to stay there and defend. I have 2 attackers on here, 2 defenders. I think my general goal is going to be to try and trade off some material, which I had the opportunity to do then. Okay. I could take, win a pawn, lose a pawn straight back. Then this one's also on prise. Or I could drop back. Take. I mean, it's just trading off pawns, isn't it? I've got 1 extra pawn. And I've also got a mess here. If I can tidy up this mess. Takes. Bishop takes. No, not that rook. This rook takes here. I can push there. I think we're okay. I think just allowing me to clean up these pawns is something anyway. And there's no way to defend that pawn on this move, so I can allow that. I also have this, by the way. That's quite nice. Take the knight and screw up his pawns. Didn't notice that one. Now, rook b2 is a thought. If he take... Oh no, it's not. If he takes me, I recapture and lose. I can just push this, or I can do this straight away. This straight away, he hasn't got time to come after my pawn, eh? And then on the next turn, after he moves his rook, I take the knight, he has to recapture. So I think that's alright. I could do, for example, this. That hits the rook, hits this pawn, defends this pawn, is defended itself by the rook. Not bad. So, yes, I'll give up my bishop, but we're going to find ourselves in an equal material ending, apart from I have the extra pawn. And which one is it? It's this one. And it's advanced up the board. So we're going to have 2 rooks and a knight each. Yeah? And now what do we think about this move? And he can't defend the pawn, can he? Because of the square. The knight controls all four corners of the square. Okay, all pieces can have like a square, in a way. But you see, because I'm attacking this and I'm attacking this, the rook couldn't move here to defend the pawn. Okay, hang on. I take, he's going to go a4. That was a better move than it seemed. How about this then? Yeah? Or knight here. I take the pawn. He goes here. Now I really want to be able to get to that square, don't I? So it's a shallow threat, but it's one that black has to deal with. Has to. And I think the only way to do it is this. There you go. I now have a couple of ways to attack this rook. I'm wondering... I feel like I need to defend this pawn somehow. That pawn could be key. If I can defend this successfully and eradicate this one, then we're laughing. I've got a really clear passed pawn then. Can't put any more pressure on that pawn that I can see. This feels... I mean, there's a potential check, but... maybe I just need to lift one of my rooks. Defend this pawn. My knight's in a good position there. The knight can chill, can hang back, and wait for forking opportunities. So, for example, you know, something like this. Okay. So I'd love to go there. Right, what's your plan though? First of all, let's think about this. Ooh, hang on. Because of that move, this is the importance of saying to yourself, what changed on every move, right? Yeah, he's got a check. That's nothing. I can just move out of there. But I'm liking, look at this. I hit this pawn, but I'm hitting this pawn too. I might also double up my rooks. I still got a problem with Andy the A-pawn. I'm struggling to defend him. If I can win a second pawn, then I think it's time for Sunday, Monday, happy days. Okay. But now I can just take this one, yes? Oh, I've got one big old fat fly coming around. Okay. You're attacking my knight, but here's the point. The knight's defended by a pawn. And that is a key. With any pin situation. Right. Also, if I can move my knight with check, it could backfire. At any time. So I could just play a4 and start to turn the screw. Now what can he do? He can attack this again. Or I just move the rook. For example, like here. Here. Even. Not worried about this move. I might create luft for my king as well. I'm going to be pushing the a-pawn up the board. I have a nice majority over here on the king side as well. So I think we can start to feel like we're in front here. Yeah, I'm not worried about that move. Just a4. And the rook's attacking this is not an issue at all. Okay. I don't want to allow both of his rooks onto the second rank, for sure. Knight back here, actually, is not so dumb, because it defends this pawn. Takes. I mean, I'm looking at even moves that might seem ridiculous, you know. Could double up here. That drops that pawn. I think it's time for this. It also actually stops him coming in at all to c2. I also have a check, so it's time to look out for, you know, any of the other squares in a knight's reach from there, which are these, you know. So if anyone steps on these squares, just keeping it in mind. Okay, right, he's attacking my pawn. I don't know what I can do about that. I can do... no, I can't. I can throw in a check out of spite for now. See if anything happens. Your opponent offers a draw. Hell no. Even with one pawn up against this pawn thing, I can lose that pawn there. Okay, I can do this now with another check. Two safe squares for that knight. Yeah, I think we probably have to resign ourselves to the sad news that Andy is leaving the game. But let's leave my knight on a good square. This is also a good square, but I just want to avoid any repetition. I'm actually kind of happy if he wants to trade off one rook. So he's going to end up with one rook on there. I've got a good knight and far superior pawns if I can convert. Okay, well, we come back here now. Idea number 2. I do now have time maybe to defend that pawn. Could even put the king round here. Okay, don't need to do that. Let's put the knight back here. Okay, right, so now I'm not going to repeat. Oh, it's done it by repetition. Curses. Curses. Okay, well, let's look at the analysis, because that was an interesting start. We'll do computer analysis. So I've never played the 4-night Scotch. I don't really know how that's meant to work. I know Naroditsky did it a lot in one of his speed runs. Okay, I'm winning all the way through. Pretty good. All right, well, let's have a quick look at the start of the game. Okay, 4 knights Scotch. Inaccurate. Should have taken. And that looks better for me. Plus 2.8. And he should have taken with the king, because then he lost his pawn. Yeah. But that was all pretty good. So let's come over here and see, because I made some mistakes now. That check was just pointless. Rook A8 was best. Rook A, because you saw I draw the arrows and thought about that. A rook to here, that means he can't go any of these squares. That would force the king here. And there might have been, and that's a blunder from him. Knight F5 check again was best there. And that's a blunder. What? And that's a blunder. Knight F5. It just wants me to keep checking this king, doesn't it? Okay, well, the king can't go in the back rank because he gets mated. I'm still +4 here, guys. And then, yeah, unfortunately, we hit the same position a third time, and that was it. Game over. Well, I lost 2 points there. My opponent only gained 1 for some reason. But this was an interesting thing. So let's just, I think endgame wise, Let's go back this way, right? Turn on Stockfish. So if he can't go on the back rank, King G8 is mate in 4. Right, so King G8, check. Knight blocks. Oh, takes, bang, yeah? You can block once and then it's death, okay. So let's go back to here. So from here, King G6 is his best option, and then it's Rook A8. Right. See, I half glimpsed that one, that idea. Let's say they take. Mate in 3. You're joking me. He only has this move. King H5, and that's... Oh my god, it is mate. My goodness, with the pawn. I didn't see it. Okay, well that one's going in a study. But I do feel as though I'm learning a kind of level of patience from Craig's session yesterday, from James's sessions as well. You know, the players that are getting into the high, you know, up to the 2000 and beyond, are showing some kind of... It's not just about knowledge of the game, it's about mindset, it's about approach. It's about something that I'm thinking about a lot at the moment, which is framing the problem. Before don't just jump in for candidate moves. Just frame exactly what changed. What does your opponent want to do? What's most important? Is it attacking? Is it defending? Is it improving? What is it? Right? That is our challenge. Then candidate moves. And then you match the candidate moves. Which of these is the best solution to this issue? So, good game. I think there's a lot of positives to take out of that one. I was unfortunate to get trapped with the repetition. Not unfortunate to miss this. This was just an oversight on my part. But a good one to practice. But I'm going to add it to... What is it? We'll do a mate in 3. Yeah. We'll do a mate in 3 from there. Or something like that. I'll figure it out. Okay, thanks for watching everybody. See you later.